Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Tuesday, November 20th. As we always do, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First up is a hearing for Instar Electric, DBA Eversource, petition for obtaining grant of location to install approximately 40 feet of conduit on West Street. Welcome.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Christine Crosby, Eversource Energy, and we are requesting permission for grant of location for approximately 40 feet of conduit at an existing manhole on West Street. And this would be to provide new underground electric service to the commons at Walpole Station.
Great. Open up for questions. Jim Moran.
I have the question. Me? You want me
Sure,
to go
if you're
first?
ready, yep.
Sure. Thank you. Does this impact any abutters, neighbors, property owners? Is there any infringement on other people's property,
it's
line of sight, anything like that?
strictly in the public way, coming out of the existing manhole straight to the private property line where the development is going on,
So, are there wires involved?
underground.
Underground?
Mhm.
Okay, so obviously that won't. And are abutters notified of something like this so that they have an opportunity to weigh in?
Yes.
Okay.
The
And no
list
one
of
has-
abutters- we have listed abutters here.
And no one has weighed in, is that correct? There's been nothing from abutters?
Not that I know of.
Are there any abutters here tonight? No. Okay.
Thank you.
Will the street need to be closed while you do this, or will you be able to keep it open?
Well, whatever the DPW recommends, or whatever they say in the street opening permit, when we go to apply for the street opening permit,
Yeah.
they will have a list of conditions that, and more than likely, there will be a police detail.
Okay, great, okay. Yeah, I didn't have any other, it's pretty straightforward, so, thanks.
So while it's not directly attributed to this, we do have sort of two other side issues, one of which is the police chief has been talking about the whole streetlight issue. We also have the issue with, and I'm drawing a blank on the street.
Glenwood.
Glenwood Road, potentially putting those lines underground to sort of clean up the street. Are you in a position to talk about either of those two things?
No, I'm not in a position to talk about that.
Jack's here.
Jack, come on up. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Jack Lopes with Eversource. Yes, so on the first question regarding the streetlights, on October 1st, we received a list from the town with a little over 250 lights. Out of the 250, we've been working on it. It does take time to get them all, that many replaced. We're down to 115 left. So we've been doing approximately 4 of them a day with the lamp ranger that we have. Also keeping in mind that we do have other towns that we also have to maintain their lights.
Yep.
But on average, we're doing 4 a day. And we are committed to having all the lights fixed by the end of December.
So do you check lights, or do we have to call them in when they're off, or?
Yes, we don't, the towns or whoever drives by, residents, they have to call them in.
And there's a call-in number too, right?
We have an 888 number. I could, if you don't mind, I'll look it up and I'll get you that number.
And while Jack's looking that up, so in Walpole, the Walpole Police Department generally in the middle of the night, if they're a little slow, they'll go around and just keep an inventory and then update it with the dispatchers, and Chief Carmichael and lieutenants and Deputy Chief McKenzie kind of keep a running spreadsheet. And that's how we know exactly where they're located, where they were.
Because I just think about where I drive, North Street, High Street, Wagon Road, all those streets have lights that are not working.
Right.
But they may not have been called in yet.
Correct. So just before we go on, the number for the streetlight repair is 800-785 800-785-4837. Again, 800-785-4837. And also, you can do it on our website at eversource.com.
Okay.
There's a place in there that you can just type in all the information. Ideally, is instead of getting this running list where, you know, we get 200 lights, is if they little by little come in as you spot them being out, then our lamp ranger can keep better track of getting them done in a faster pace.
So if people are watching on TV, you can call it in, you can do an online form. You probably want to look at the pole and see if there's a number on it, or give your street
Correct.
address.
Even if they give us a house address, you know, in front of, you know, 500 Main Street, you know, as long as we have some direction of where this post or lamp is, then we would take care of it.
I would just say, I think most people don't realize that the burden is on them. I think
Correct.
most people would assume that you would make sure that your lights work.
Yeah, but we don't go around looking for them. That's always been part of the deal with the contract, is that they have to
Sure.
be reported in.
So of the lights that are still left, when will you have those finished up by?
Well, we still have 115, so we've committed to have them done by December, by the end of the year.
Okay.
To have them all done, and hopefully, I mean, we're in pace of doing more. We should have them well done before then, and if any other new ones come in, hopefully we'll also have time to get to those too.
So we'll have to find a way to let people know. I wonder if we could do something in the warrant, or with a tax bill, or just like
Kind of
remind
a
people.
header or something on our
Something, just to
website.
remind people, if the light's out across from your house, do
And even-
this, just to let people know.
Call me all the time.
They do?
and
Okay.
I direct them to the website.
Okay.
Yeah, or you can put it right on your homepage, you know, so a banner up there just saying, you know, streetlights, please call the 800 number.
You could scroll
would be
it on
great.
the cable too.
Okay. Yeah, let's try to few of those things and see if we can get you a steady stream that you can work.
And meantime, out of those 115, if there are some, I mean, we're just going along off the list. But if you do have any priorities that you want some areas done first, whether it's a safety issue or you feel it's a safety issue, please let me know, and we'll make sure we target those first.
Yeah, the police are probably looking at the main roads first.
Yeah,
all
there
the
was
feeders.
one that Chief Carmichael mentioned, one
Okay.
in front of Cumbies.
Yeah, there's some on Main Street. I'll pass those on to our lamp ranger to get them done.
So how about, was it Glenwood Road?
Glenwood Ave, yeah.
Glenwood Ave.
So-
What do we know about the process right now with trying to get that underground?
So earlier today, some of Jack's coworkers at a meeting with myself and Maggie, we talked about Coney Street, but then it led into Glenwood Ave and the project that's going on there. We did pull the the planning board decision. It specifies that the contractor is responsible for that. It's my understanding that the contractors were working with the folks from Eversource to put together, what do you guys call it, a design plan?
Yeah, we have to do an
Develop it.
engineering plan.
Yeah. There is a down payment required by Eversource, and they're still working behind the scenes on that one. So it hasn't gone anywhere at this point, but they're still working on it.
Sure.
So, fair to say?
Yeah, so just a little bit more information that I received this afternoon. There was also a meeting today, I believe around 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, with the developer regarding this, and this issue came up. I know the town is looking to get that underground. I believe the contractor is still under the impression that he can keep it overhead if it's relocated to the other side of the street. So he's working with the landowner on the opposite side of the street to see if he can work with him to set the poles on that side and take the trees down. And again, that's what I heard.
Right, and that's privately owned, so if that's what he wanted to do, I guess that he.
His planning board
Make that
decision
agreement.
did specify that it had to go underground. Chris had pulled it for me today. If he needs to come back and amend that, he's gonna probably need to go before the planning board, which we sent him a reminder of that today. I know it's a lot of money to do it all underground on that road, so.
Okay.
And then for the underground piece, what we require at this point would be kind of 3 pieces of information. One is a work order that the developer would need to start. We would need the down payment to start the engineering work, and we need a plan of the street that shows all of the underground infrastructure, just to see where we can get our equipment installed, our manholes and conduit.
Okay.
And once we have those 3 pieces, then we can start on our end, moving that forward.
So Jim, does it feel like to you that the right people know what needs to be done if they want to move in that direction? Or is it still a little too gray?
They do now, and I'm looking at Chris, have we gotten a response from Joe today? We haven't gotten a response from the developer. So I want to make, I can't say for sure that on their end, they're crystal clear on this one. I'll report back to the board once I hear from them.
Okay, great.
Putting it under, or making sure it's under.
So what Jim was just saying is they met on it earlier, the planning board decision has the wiring underground. I guess there's some discussion, it sounds like, with the landowner across the roadway about putting it on the private land where, you know, there's currently trees and wires there now, I
Yeah.
believe.
But again, that's the rock.
But they
Mr.
would have to
Rock
go
would
back
talk
to planning board if they're not gonna do what.
And if they do it above ground on their side of the road, it's really very close, with just a few feet from the building. So, but I gotta talk to Mr. LaRusso
Okay, that's
further.
great. Do you have any questions?
No.
Okay. We also talked about streetlights, just before you came in. They're working the list that was given to them by the police department of like 250, they're down to 100 and, I think you said 15.
115, correct.
And they'll have all the lights they know of now finished by the end of December. So,
While I'm here, could I just bring up one point? I know in the past we've talked about the transmission project that's going on through Walpole, and it came up that you were looking to get some screening done, vegetation screening done on South Street at the station. So that's in the plan. We're looking to go out, we want to bid our vegetation plan for the whole corridor, wherever we need to do some plantings at once. And we're looking to start the plantings in the project in the spring and then finishing them in the fall of next year. I'm not sure yet where South Street lands in that time frame, but it is in the plan to get the screening done on that station.
That would be fabulous.
Because I know that was brought up as part of, a request by the board in the past.
so here's the issue from my point of view. I would like to see the Glenwood Avenue issue resolved and pushed further. I know that West Street's not directly tied to that, other than you're here and you're asking for something. It's a good time to ask you to get something done. I'm glad that there is some movement and some people are starting to get, to move forward. So I would sort of ask the board, do we want to wait a couple more weeks to see if Glenwood moves further, or are we comfortable with moving ahead on West Street under the assumption we'll keep moving Glenwood forward? I'd probably wait personally, but I'm sort of looking to see if people have a feeling.
I think it's reasonable to wait. That gives us, the leverage to get the parties together, and I know you're trying to get the West Street thing done, but I also feel as though we need to get, the Glenwood thing done, and it's important that
I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with the West Street.
That was a request that was in today, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yep.
For that, okay.
Yeah.
And so it just seems to me as though waiting a couple of weeks, and Jim, it sounds like you got some movement going, but I don't feel rushed to approve the West Street request, and let's, see if we can get the Glenwood thing moving forward.
Okay.
Okay?
And one other thing, I mean, if we could get a copy of the screening plan for South Street,
Yeah,
I mean, maybe come in and do our design review or meet with our planner, because, it is important to us, that road.
Yeah.
We've invested a lot as a town, the neighbors invested a lot, and,
as of right now, it's still with our landscape architect.
which is probably a great time to come in
Right.
before you go too far.
What he proposes first, and then we'll make that presentation
Okay,
to the board and see what changes you'd like to see.
great,
At least we'll have a base to start with.
sounds good.
So from a realistic point of view, when will we have an idea if Glenwood is really moving forward? Do we wait 2 weeks? Do we wait a month? Should it
Do
into
we
next year?
either indicate the 4th or the 18th meeting, depending on what type of response we get back from the developer there?
Okay,
and-
why don't you let us know
Yeah.
when you get a response, and we'll
Sure,
get West Street on there. Okay.
that works.
I hate to tie things together, but it's our chance with a little bit of leverage to make sure we get Glenwood Ave moving in the right direction. So appreciate you coming in to
Great.
give us an update. That was great.
Thanks, Jack.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up, we're going to do an update on progress with Super Sales located at 1900 Main Street. And Melissa Young is here, I see. Welcome, Melissa.
I have a little update for everybody here. So this should be pretty simple and straightforward. As far as update of what we're doing, again, I'd like to thank everyone for having us back tonight to review the progress. First on the list is the septic. I've confirmed as of yesterday that the install date is November 30th. The install is to start at 8 a.m. This was out of weeks worth of dates going around. There's not only the 4 people required that are being required to be there, but also the tank delivery. And this was the first available date that we could come to an agreement on getting everybody there at the same time. I know that there is a time constraint with the Board of Health. They're only available between 8 and 11. They do have to inspect the site twice, apparently. But we're trying to do everything that we can within our power to get that all done within that 3-hour time frame. And I'm being told that it's likely that it's not going to be an issue. Everybody's on board and everyone will be there.
So since I have Robin right here, could I just ask Robin if
Sure.
she has any comments about the tight, come up to the microphone just so you're on TV. So you know about this date, so I think that's a good thing you've got it scheduled.
Yes, she just asked us last Friday, I guess, for some dates.
Great.
And we gave her most of the dates that she had asked for. On November 30th, it's on a Friday, so that's when we only work from 8 to 12.
Yep.
So that was the reason that I said 8 to 11, because, so we can be there at
Sure.
that time. I don't understand, but this is the first time that I'm hearing that it's at 8 o'clock, which is good, that we have a time for that date.
Okay, great, thank you, Robin. Thanks, Melissa. I think it's great that you've got a date to get that in.
It's it was no small task coordinating everybody that's required, but we've done it, and we should be complete on that date. The second topic is the stormwater management. The notice of intent is complete and is going to be filed tomorrow, which is the deadline for filing. I was just waiting on the completion of the abutters list from the assessors. I spoke to the assessor's office today. They did confirm to me that it will be available for pickup tomorrow. So that is the final piece of the notice of intent filing, and it will all be filed with conservation tomorrow. The meeting's to be held on the 12th of December. I've been in contact with engineering that's designing the overall stormwater management plan. He's been in contact with Landis directly. I think he may have also talked to Robin about the septic as well. But he basically said that he's refraining from giving me any installation time frame until the conservation meeting is complete. In the meantime, I've done a significant amount of research on the stormwater management practices. I've read the entire stormwater management bylaw from the town of Walpole and really have a deeper understanding of everything that needs to be going on. So SUPA has updated its stormwater best management practices. It's being submitted to the zoning board for our meeting in January, as well as that piece is part of the stormwater management program, and it's being obviously submitted to conservation tomorrow. If any member of the board would like that plan, it's a lengthy document. I have it mostly electronically, so any of you feel free to request it from me. I can get you the plan. But in its essence, stormwater management is pollution prevention, more or less. And so we had all of those things already on board. We were just not in an understanding of what was being asked for from the town. So we, with all the research I've done in the last month or so, I've really come to a deeper understanding, updated all of our practices, and made them available for all the boards to see. thirdly, I did meet with the building commissioner, the new old building commissioner, just to kind of bring him up to speed on everything that's been going on. He's currently reviewing the compliance of the property, said he needed some time to work through the notes, obviously, because just getting up to speed on everything. We believe we're in compliant with all the building issues currently, in line with the original zoning board decision, which I actually attached because, again, from our perspective, it states that the zoning decision was that the property shall be used for the sale and repair of used cars and trucks. So we hold fast in the fact that we're compliant with the original zoning board decision, and we're compliant with the site plan as it currently sits, which brings us to issue 4. We're continuing to seek relief from the zoning board to increase use of the property, expand to usage in the back. That meeting continues to be the 2nd of January. So in conclusion, we're a commercially industrial zoned area. Our usage is consistent with the surrounding businesses. We keep the property clean and visual appealing, and we believe we're in compliance with the original site plan and the spirit of the license originally issued. And again, we thank you for your consideration in renewing our license. And any questions, I'd be more than willing to answer.
Yeah, how about if I open it up for questions, but then I also want to go through, we sort of have the document that had all of our bullet points that I sort of want to go through and talk about. Anybody want to start off?
I'll
Ian?
start, sure.
Sure.
Thank you for coming before
problem.
us again, Ms. Young. So, to me, and I think what we talked about at our last meeting when Ms. Young appeared before us, the septic is a big step in the right direction.
Yes, it is.
And getting it installed by the end of this month, I think Ms. Chappelle would agree, is a roadblock that has been stepped over, so that's really great. That alone makes me comfortable that you are making progress, because I think we're all in agreement that all those moving parts of personnel is not easy to pull together. So setting everything else aside, although I do like the fact that, I appreciate the fact that you've come up with stormwater best management practices, which, according to your write-up, that's part of the stormwater management plan, to have those best practices, so.
Operation and maintenance manual, and best practices.
Okay, so.
In the event that technically, again, I'm not the technical aspect of this, but from my understanding, we're not asking to change the surfaces of the ground. We have a gravel surface, we're maintaining a gravel surface. We're not asking for a land disturbance permit, we're not asking for a building, we're simply asking for use of what is existing. So by the true definition, the stormwater management isn't even required in this particular case, but we understand that it's an important piece of the puzzle to the town. We understand that once we do ask for pavement and building expansion and whatnot, it will be required, so we were more than willing to kind of set that as part of the requirements we've been asked to do, put it in place, and make sure that we can continue to keep that updated.
So my understanding from our last meeting, when Ms. Young and Mr. Santos appeared before us, three big roadblocks, or 3 big steps, was this septic tank installation, the notice of intent, and the stormwater management plan. So looking at your write-up, it looks like you have made progress on those
Correct.
items. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Jim, do you have any questions right now?
A comment and a question. So, yeah, I agree. This feels like progress. It's going to feel like real progress when the dates are hit, okay? So very important to hit the dates, okay?
Right.
November 30th is a key date, obviously, with the septic. And then, of course, filing that NOI and the stormwater drain plan tomorrow. That's very important,
Yes.
okay? I was, in looking at the original special permit, there's a note in here, the special permit shall lapse within 2 years. You've made a couple of points today to say back to the original special permit. You've said it multiple times, which is causing me to wonder and I don't know the answer to this, but did anything change in any subsequent special permit
No.
Yeah, after, because it would have had to have been re-established, okay.
And that's why, again, I just brought it up today as part of this review, because part of what really struck me at the last meeting, I watched it again. I watched the meeting again and basically went through everything so that I was sure that I was understanding what you guys were saying to me correctly. And it was said to us time and time again that we've not been compliant from the get-go. And that was a sticking point for me, because I feel like we have. Our zoning decision right here says allow the sale and repair of used cars and trucks. And that's what we've been doing, sale and repair. It sort of got muddled when, I don't know how it kind of went off the tracks, but I feel like this is what it is. We know that we've applied to zoning for expanded use. And, you know, hopefully when they hear our case in January, they'll see septic's in, stormwater management's on board, and everything is gonna fall into place. So we think it's consistent with the use that's been happening, the use intended for the area, and the traditional history of the property,
Right.
so.
Okay, I know you've got a couple of the things on the broader list here that we'll talk about, but based on everything that you've put in front of us, I know that NOI was really important last time.
Yes.
Sounds like you're ready to file that, so.
Yep.
And of course, the tank, so we look forward to hearing that the dates are hit. Again, this does feel like progress to me, so thank you.
You're welcome, thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. I think the things that Jim just talked about and Ann just talked about are important to show progress. I think that's good. There's still some items on our list that you're not in compliance with that aren't kind of those big three. And I can mention them again, or we can give you a copy of the handout that we have.
Sure, if you want to mention what I didn't address.
Well, the first one is still the tax issue. And I know there was some discussion in the past, and probably a resolution can be reached.
The tax issue should not be an issue. We're current with the current taxes. We entered into an agreement with the town regarding the back taxes.
I'm sorry, you're right. I do see that.
Yeah,
Okay,
so that is we should be compliant as far as
Yep.
that's concerned.
thanks.
You're welcome.
That one's good, that one's good. File an amendment for the special permit with the ZBA, you've already talked about that.
Correct. The meeting's the 2nd of January.
Yep. So, number 5 on our list is Super to submit an application for site plan review to the planning board with a copy to the building commissioner no later than February 1st, 2018, with all required materials. Is that one, I don't remember
Again,
talking about that one in a big way.
yeah, this was
last-
one of those issues that sort of went in a circle, and truthfully, the resolution was that I was told once we were completed with zoning, and once they made any amended changes, then we submit that plan to the planning board for the official site plan approval.
Okay.
So it's
still
not-
on our list, so if
Yes,
that is
the-
in fact the circle that needs to be done.
Right, the
great.
application,
I
the
don't know if
application
it's that
was ready.
simple, but I just don't know.
The
It's one of those-
application was ready for submittal back in February, and I was advised to hold off on the planning board submittal until we completed zoning. And that's been extended for so long, that's why it's not done yet. So hopefully that issue will be resolved as.
So you're gonna go back to planning at some point?
Yes,
once-
as soon as
Once you get a few more check marks.
as soon as zoning approves our usage, then that plan goes to planning board for final site plan review. Or
So
acceptance.
just to clarify, it sounds like you should not go before the planning board until you've checked the boxes and gone
Yeah.
before the ZBA. It's
Correct.
funny, I was looking at an old, the minutes of the meeting where some of this was addressed, and one of the selectmen, I can't remember who, actually made a comment that I guess the planning board made some comments, and the comment of the Board of Selectmen was it should not have even gone to the planning board before, it should come to us first, but anyways, a little confusing, but I think you sound like you got it covered.
Okay, so you're working on the tight tank.
Well, one thing to be clear,
Sure.
I mean, many people file at the same time with both.
Okay,
So, I
So it's a-
mean, most people, when they come into town hall and start the process, they actually have filed with both at the same time and go through the process together.
Many
Okay.
people do, however, we were advised, because there was multiple moving parts, including the conservation restoration, which ultimately has to go on the final site plan, the septic installation with ultimately has to also go on the final site plan. There was multiple moving parts, which would result in that final site plan being modified multiple times before it needs to be finalized with the planning board. So that's why we were advised to wait.
I'm just sort of going through my list.
Sure.
Jim, maybe we can give a copy to Melissa, just so she has our current list. So one of the last items on the list is the steel storage containers that you have. So that's still an outstanding issue, that as long as it's on your list and you're working down that path. You know, you've got some big items to get through in the next month.
Again, that was
Good.
one of the issues I actually discussed with the building inspector that currently. And again, it was an issue that I haven't heard the final word. It's in contention with the previous owner. We were told they're his. We were advised not to move them by him, but we're being advised to move them by you. So we are sort of in that decision where we have to decide who
And
to
you're
disobey.
And you're working with Mike is the right thing to do.
Yes,
Spend the time with
I
Mike.
discussed the
Have
issue with
Mike,
him and,
you know, give you some guidance.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
I'm glad Mike's back,
yeah.
and
We
that'll be good.
We discussed that when I met with him last week.
Okay, so I don't see any other issues that we haven't brought up. And Jim or Cindy can give you a copy of, here. I was gonna say you can have mine. Jim gave his up. Jim, you want mine?
Oh, okay.
Okay. So thanks for the update. I think that clicking these things off, getting your filing done with the conservation, getting the tight tank in the ground, you know, working with Mike is good, and meeting with the ZBA is good. So we're gonna wanna keep an eye on how that goes. And the first big one to me is November 30th. If you get that tank in the ground, that's a big step forward. So
Absolutely.
hopefully that'll all go well for you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. There's nothing for us to vote on, so we'll
Nope.
just say thank you for the update.
Thank you very much.
and
Thank
luck.
you.
good luck.
So just so I'm clear actually on the next step, is it my understanding that the voting on the actual license renewal is at the next zoning board meeting? Or how is that going to work? I mean, I'm sorry,
So
selectman meeting.
you either have or will soon get the renewal application,
Right.
which you'll fill out.
You have to send me back the renewal application I mailed to you,
Okay,
and then it will either go on the December 4th or the December 18th.
Would have to be
I
the
try to do
18th.
them all in one bundle, so I'll
Yeah.
try to do all the used cars in one bundle. So
okay.
you can check with me, and I
The
can let
dates
you
aren't
know
ready.
You know, I'll check with you tomorrow, Cindy, because I thought I already sent that
18th,
back.
into you.
Okay,
is the
Um,
I haven't gotten it.
12th, which they're not
Let me,
gonna-
I'll check with
No,
you
I can
tomorrow,
give
I
you
can
more
fill it out.
paperwork, all
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
So here's what I would say.
Yeah.
In your case, regardless of when we do all the others, we're probably gonna do yours on the 18th.
Okay,
Just because you've got a due date on December 12th, you've got the COMCOM meeting.
that sounds
And
fair.
I think that, I'm supportive of you, I hope all this works out, but I'm still on the fence, I don't know where everybody else stands. And getting these three things clicked off and spending time with Mike by the 18th, so we've seen real progress. We're also gonna wanna do what Jim had asked for last time with whatever the remaining steps are after you go through these. We'll wanna see a realistic time frame of, you know, what will happen over the preceding months to make us feel comfortable that you can get this property in compliance across the board, so. Just so you know, I mean, I think you're showing positive signs, and I hope it goes really well, but I'm on the fence, I'm a show-me kind of person, so until the tank's in the ground, I'm gonna be leery, but once it's in the ground, that's a good step, so. I don't know if anybody else has any feedback they wanna
For-
give you, but that would be mine.
For that license renewal meeting, is that a meeting that you would be asking for comments from the building inspector? Because if not, then I can request
Yeah, he
comments
would,
from him directly.
he would tell us if he has any outstanding issues with.
Okay.
With all of them.
The same with Health Department would tell us if there's outstanding issues, Conservation would tell us. So on each of those, if there's no outstanding issues, then we just go through them and vote them. There's not an issue. If there's outstanding issues, then we have to address those. Every year, there seems to be a couple that there's outstanding issues, and we need to work our way through those, so. But let's say that yours is the 18th, that'll let you get past the Concom meeting on December 12th.
Sounds fair.
So, okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Hope that doesn't mess you up, Cindy.
No, typically what I do is on the 4th, because all the liquor has to be in by the
Yep.
end of this month. So I would ask the board to do all the liquor stuff on the 4th, and then on the 18th, we'll do the rest of them. Because they're still coming in, they have
Yep,
a later date to
right.
get them to us,
Yep.
so,
That's good.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the request for the Chamber of Commerce to put up the manger on the town common until January 5th, 2019, as weather permits.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 I'll make a motion to approve the annual Santa Parade on Saturday, November 24th, 2018, beginning at 11 a.m., and to approve the tree lighting on November 24th from 6 to 8 p.m.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Other than it's always a great time, come on down. I know everybody's working hard to make that a big success. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion for the consent agenda, to accept gifts to the Council on Aging in different amounts. One from Priscilla Way, one from Michael and Linda Dalton, one from Emil and Abdul Hadzipas.
As good as I could do.
All right, Stephen Dalton, Michelle DeGrazio, Marie and John Linden, Donna Newberg, April Cushing, and Norwood Library.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
I will jump in here just for a second and just say that I attended the construction meeting for the Council on Aging. They're in the final stages of getting everything finished up. Parking lot paving is slightly held up because you can't pave if it's below 40, and we've had a lot of rain, can't pave in a heavy downpour. So it's a couple of items that they're still working on that they'll get to in time, but the building's coming along great. We expect to take possession from the contractor December 3rd, in which case we'll have a couple weeks to roll in the furniture and move stuff over. A ribbon cutting likely on December 20th at 11 o'clock. And the center will open for real on January 2nd, which I believe is a Wednesday. I hope the calendar is in my head right. There'll be a slight gap of about a week when the old center will close down and the new center's not open. But the phone number will be answered if anybody needs assistance. There'll be no meals served here because we'll be closed on this site, not yet open. But they'll do, Meals on Wheels will be available. So Carrie McManama is working hard with her staff to make sure that we don't drop any services along the way. And it's also the Christmas season, so a lot of people are not in anyways. But it seems like the plan is really coming together, and everybody's working hard, and we look forward to that building getting open, and all the seniors, being able to go to the programs they used to, and then expanded programs, as they get rolled in. So things are looking real good. So just wanted to give people an update.
And it's gonna be a much bigger place, that if anybody is looking to volunteer time, or if they have some sort of specialty or something that they could offer as in a class or something like that, if they wanted to put their name out there to the senior center, they are looking for different things and people.
And while I focused on the Council on Aging piece, the Council on Aging generally shuts down every day around 4:30-ish. Some of their programs might go later, but that building, over time will be fully booked by the Recreation Department in the evenings and on weekends. So that'll be another building like the library that will be used a lot. And, we'll probably, our board at some point will probably have a meeting over in the multipurpose room. And, there'll be tours that will be announced for people to come over and see the building, and more importantly, find out about some of the programs that are available. So, sorry to talk so long, Nancy.
That's okay. All right, I will make a motion to accept a gift in the amount of $6,000 from the Junior Women's Club of Walpole to the Veterans Committee.
I'll second that.
I was gonna do them separate, because
That's fine. Any further discussion? I'll make a comment. I think the Junior Women's Club is great. They do a great job fundraising. I think it's great that they've made a donation for the Veterans Committee. One of the things about the new Council on Aging building, the South Street Center, is the Veterans Agent will be there. And they're setting up some nice stuff, nice things for the veterans, a Veterans Honor Chair. There'll be a lot of nice things there. It'll be a great place for, new and old veterans to be able to go and meet and take advantage of the facility and use the room. So I think that's going to be a great environment for the veterans.
And it
So-
is, just since you were, it is an annual gift donation that the Junior Women's do. They, in the fall, do a beer and wine tasting, and the proceeds from that go to this donation.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to accept another gift, $100 to the Veterans Committee from Thomas Pelletier.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to accept a gift from Walpole Plaza Liquors in the amount of $351, also to the Veterans Committee.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. And just to add, for the Veterans Committee, I did go down to Veterans Day, to the ceremony, and, they do such a great job. It was absolutely beautiful. The turnout, the weather was so nice. The turnout was really nice. They did mention the scholarships that are being handed out, and, I think we're really lucky. We have such a nice Veterans Committee, and the ceremony is beautiful. It was really nice to have Congressman Lynch and Representative John Rogers there. Nice for them to take time out of Veterans Day and come out to Walpole. And it was great seeing everybody. They did a nice job.
Great.
And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for October 23rd, 2018.
I'll second that. All in favor, please say aye. Possible discussion under old business of the Foxborough pilot and MBTA train. Jim, you want to give us an update?
Sure, just under TA updates. I did reach out to the MBTA. We talked briefly about it, about pushing it back to January. Just waiting to hear from them. For now, it's still on for 12/18, but more to come on it as once I hear back. And I specifically asked them about what are you going to have us as far as start dates, other information as far as the guardrails down near the post office, the fencing, and other information. I'm waiting to hear back from
Yeah, and I'm one of the ones who was pushing to get it done in December, but I think they do need to answer all those questions, and it'd be good if they could give us a good presentation. People will want to come and listen and find out where we stand. So that, right now, there's too many gray areas, and it'd be great for them to give us a lot more details, so that'd be great.
The DPW hoist crane system, this is for the vehicle maintenance garage. This is the crane that the chain system, so they can lift the sanders out of the trucks and the plows up and everything. The bid came in yesterday. I'd like to issue a notice to proceed to the one and only bidder here, just because it is a couple weeks lead time, and then formally have it on the Selectmen's agenda on the 4th. It's within the budget. We expected it to be about $70,000. It came in at $74,000. I just would like more or less the board's blessing right now, and then you can formally vote on it in 2 weeks, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Any
that'd be
issues with
great.
that? Okay.
I look forward to them getting that building finished.
Yeah, and then just some important dates. Obviously, we have a couple of ribbon cutting ceremonies, 3 to be exact, in December, with the COA, Siemens on the 4th, and then tentatively scheduled for the 31st at about 11 or 12 a.m., not p.m., on the 31st for the new DPW garage. And that's about it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Great.
Make a motion to adjourn?
I'm good with that.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Eric would be impressed.
Eric
Quick
would be
meeting.
happy.
Look
He
at
gives
that.
me a hard